Hello my lovely crafty friends, and here we are back again. Today we are here with our full deck challenge 3 and playing a bit of catch up. I'm on card 33, which is song lyrics. My constant for my second half of the deck is my mini playing card, and my carryover from last week is this book paper. And so because it's song lyrics, I'm going to create a collage on the background using some sheet music and some book paper. And then the song I've chosen is Louis Armstrong's Wonderful World. And I'm just going to do the first verse with the trees are green and the red roses too. So let's get creating. And so here we are with the book page and the sheet music, that's the word I'm looking for. And I'm just tearing off some strips ready to collage the background of this card. As I said in my intro, I'm going to use the music sheet because today is song lyrics and I just thought it would fit quite well. So the song I have chosen is What a Wonderful World by Neil Armstrong? No, not Neil Armstrong. Louis Armstrong. I was thinking Lance Armstrong, Neil Armstrong. No, Louis Armstrong, What a Wonderful World. So once the background's complete, I'm going to have a think about how I'm going to represent those trees of green and red roses too. I have got a magazine sheet here, but I want something a little bit more 3D. So I'll have a think about that in a minute. I do like collaging these backgrounds because it just gives me time to think rather than launching straight into the card. Gives you time to like plan stuff in your head. So you can see I've left the top corner to make sure I leave the card so we know it's a card. Just finishing off. Few last bits. Okay, so I've trimmed around the edges, just trimmed off the excess, and I was going to use the magazine, but then when I laid it out on top of the card it really didn't look okay, so I'm just going to use my ink pads and just ink up the areas where I'm going to have the trees, the green trees, the red roses, and then the blue sky. So just use the ink pad. I've got a really pale leafy green here, and then I've got a darker green as well. These ink pads aren't the best. They were really cheap and they just got me started on ink pads. But I am using them up, and sometimes I just have to refresh them with a spritz of water. And I'll use them up, and then eventually I will start looking at buying more sustainable ones that are slightly better quality, that will last a little bit longer. But when I started out, these ink pads were great and they just were cheap and got me started. So red for the roses. I have pulled out of my sticker drawer some red rose stickers that are plastic stickers, and I'm going to use them up in part of this as well. And these ink pads are actually really good. These are from the range and you get varying shades. So I've got an orange one that's got orange and yellow, a pink one, a purple one, a blue one, and a brown one. And they just give you a range of shades that then you can layer up. So these ones are actually quite nice for dabbing. I find they're not great for actually using stamps with though, because just don't find them. So this rose is off a paper pack I had, and then to create the trunks of the trees, I'm just going to ink up this packing paper. I've used this in quite a few projects recently. It's quite a nice, I think it was just a packaging sheet out of a parcel, but it's got some really good texture to it. So just using the varying browns, just inking it up. I'm going to add a little bit black to it as well, just to give it that darker brown, and then I'm going to tear it up, and that will be the trunk of my trees. So just going to tear it up into strips, And then using those strips, I'm going to represent the trees on my card, the trees of green. And when I tore that strip, it naturally kind of tore an extra bit, and I thought, oh, I quite like that. So I just tore some really thin strips just to put across as the twigs. So actually, from a little mistake came a really good idea. And so I just bent them up a bit just to give it more of a twiggy shape. And yeah, just tore into them all, so they've all got that kind of, it's not a straight line tree, because let's be honest, trees aren't straight, are they? So I'm going to use my splodge, stick this down. If you are a regular watcher, you'll know that my splodge is a mix of Marvin and clear PVA. It's just a great all-purpose glue for sticking stuff down. I do have a whole range of glues. I've got my Yoo-hoo that I use if I want something stuck down a bit firmer, like buttons and ribbons and things. I've got my glue sticks, obviously, which I'm using up out of the pot at the moment. I've got clear PVA, which I use as well. And then I've got the more, what's it called? The proper Yoo-hoo, the stuff in the metal tube. So I do use a whole range of glues for different reasons. I do have some Modge, but I try to avoid using it as too much because it is quite expensive to replace. So yeah. So I'm just going to add some leaves, and I remembered while I was making the bark that I have this moss that I picked up from Home Bargains last Easter. It was in their Easter sale in their like Easter crafty section. So I just grabbed a pack, and I think there was like 50p a pack, and I've got a darker green and a lighter green. So I'm just going to glue that on just to, and a little bit further down the trees, just to create the canopy of the trees, and just give me that 3D element. So just adding a bit more glue, and then we'll go in with the lighter green moss. I think it's quite rubbery, so I think it isn't, I don't think it's real moss, I think it's artificial because it's proper rubbery, but it serves a purpose, and it actually looks quite effective, so I'm quite pleased with that. Okay, just give it a good press down, leave that to dry. Then I'm going to have this rose in the bottom, and then I realised my video hadn't actually been videoing it. It had been videoing the wrong bit. So these flowers I die cut, and just using a dotting tool, I just curl the leaves up a bit, and then each of the roses is a double. So there's one flower stuck on top of the other. And you'll see I have stuck some stickers in there as well. And then just writing, what a wonderful world, which this was about the third attempt at doing this. I'm not great at just writing freehand, but it turned out all right in the end. So I've just created like a bit of a banner just from a strip of paper that I then just folded in. And it's just created a bit of a banner. I think this is a front cover from just like a notebook. But it's just some red paper I had in my red drawer. And then while that dries, I'm just going to create the corner where I put my card number. And on the back, I write what the prompt was. So this week is number 33. So this is just the middle of a tea stain doily. That just gives a nice kind of, fits in with the shades and tones of this piece. Pop that on the corner. So just gluing down that. Then I will add the numbers and just picked one little rose to go in the corner. So week 33, I will write the prompt on the back, song lyrics, as I have done with the other cards, and then once I've completely finished, I will sew this into the book. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, follow, and all the other things you do to help my channel grow. I'm really enjoying putting myself out there on YouTube, and I was quite pleased with this. Thank you.